guys, happy Sunday. We're gonna have a cozy Sunday together because I'm actually filming this on Sunday. Today we are talking about the Deathly Hallows. I've been working on this theory for like weeks, trying to just dig through the books, gather my thoughts, put these things together, but we're gonna talk about what they mean, what this story means, the representation behind it, the symbolism of each of them, and who represents each Hallow, and what it actually means for the series. Let's get into it. I'm also like eating my breakfast right now, so don't mind the Cheerios, but behind the scenes, I use this little clicker for my phone, and I used to work really hard to hide it from you guys and like editing and stuff, and like put it on the table. You're just gonna see and hear the clicker. This is just gonna make editing easier for me, and honestly, I kind of have the attitude of until I get my computer and my nice film camera and a new computer where I can actually film and make like real YouTube videos and not just like really long TikToks is what it feels like with me just sitting on my couch, like actually put together real YouTube videos. I kind of just like have the mindset of like, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit, you know? I do my best. And I know you guys enjoy it, and nobody at all is complaining. Literally no one has complained. But I feel bad because I know I can do better. I just don't have the means or the time or the energy. And you get what you get. You don't throw a fit. And that's more for me than you. Okay, we're gonna start by talking about who was Death. And first things first, this might be one of my favorite quests in Hogwarts Legacy so far, like the black and white one with Death, where you have to hide from and go through all those levels, and I loved that quest. I enjoyed it so much. Normally I film during his nap time. We're pretty active and curious kitties right now. What are we doing, Bob? I'm not gonna bore you with a retelling of the story because if you're watching this video, you know Harry Potter and you know this story. So like just a brief overview, if you don't know the story, is the tale of Beedle and the Bard, the three brothers. There once was a bridge. They used their wands and made a bridge. Death felt cheated. Death was like, oh, haha. Since you cheated me, let me give you each a gift. And the first one took the Elder Wand, the second one took the Resurrection Stone, and the third one took the Invisibility Cloak. Okay. Third one took the Invisibility Cloak, and they all went about their ways. Oldest one bragged, got killed in his sleep. He immediately went and killed a rival wizard in a duel, bragged, was killed in his sleep. The wand was taken. That wand, we'll go about that story. Honestly, I'm going to end up telling the story by the end of this anyway, so this part's kind of pointless. I've been all over the internet. I've watched Movie Flame, Harry Potter Theory. I've watched a whole bunch of other YouTube videos. I've done my own research. I have a couple questions about who was Death. I know other people have tried to answer this question. Other people have made their own theories. Well, here's mine. I think that honestly, it's the wizarding world. Maybe the tale is real. Maybe it's a wives' tale. Maybe Death did come down and talk to them. Maybe this was, at the start of Wizarding Kind. These are some of the very, I don't know, because wizards go back like ancient Greece, so like I can't even say that. Like, no, like, I don't understand, like, no. This is literally just a wives' tale because it's just a river and a bridge. So the story actually doesn't hold any water. Like, the more you think about it, it's just a wives' tale. It's a bridge. They made a bridge. They're not the first people to make a bridge and get over a river, whatever. So assumably, Tale of Beedle and the Bards is a wives' tale. There's no real truth to it. It just represents what really happened. So let's think about who was Death. Was Death the creator of these objects? Was this the person that actually made all three objects themselves? And this was the person who was the master of Death? So maybe that's why they're referred to as Death in the story, because they were the master of Death, because they had all three Deathly Hallows, and all three Deathly Hallows were loyal to them and they possessed them all, that kind of stuff. So it could have been that. But then would the three brothers have beaten them in a duel? Would they have made like a card game agreement? Was this over a game of poker? Like, I wish we knew like what the real reason was. And I guess there is no real reason. Nobody ever made a real reason. Nobody ever thought about this. It's just a tale that represents symbolism throughout the story. But I just like to dig deeper into stuff, So either we can believe that there was someone that possessed all three and was the master of Death, or this can be a story of these three brothers who each had things in their life that were bothering them. This brother wanted to defeat this rival wizard. This brother missed his lost love. This brother just wanted to live a peaceful life. I don't know. Oh, kitty cat, you hear birdies? I don't know if you heard his chitter. I'm so sorry. He chitters when he hears the birds outside, and I just instinctively have to respond. We live alone. It's just me and him. We talk all the time. It's fine. We're not crazy. So then you could say that these three brothers mastered death by making these objects. So it's not that they met someone and took it, it's that they mastered death by making it. The oldest brother, it's Elderwood and Thestral Tailhair is the elder one. The oldest brother totally could have made that, Like, there is enough reasoning to believe that these three brothers were dark and powerful enough that they could have made these objects. Or somebody else already had them, they were the master of death, but then that begs the question, who made them? Who made these objects? Where did these objects come from? Are they like some sort of like deeply ancient magic, like way, way, way beyond, like we talk about ancient magic and Hogwarts Legacy? They could be like something made like like they could be something that transcends time, like something that comes before and will be here after all, Like these could just be objects that are like literally outside of time itself. I don't know. Random theories. But that is my 2 cents on who was death. Yes, I am aware that who was death and the meaning of the master of death are like pretty much 2 Harry Potter theory titles. I watched both of those and I used them both to create my theory. So yes, I am aware. Now we're going to talk about what does it mean to be the master of death. Now Harry Potter theory goes into their like all their stuff, their 2 cents, and they're basically saying to master death, is it to possess all of the objects, like to have all of them? Because they then point out what, I noticed before, but they do take the time to point out, which it's good because not a lot of people notice. A lot of people are like, yeah, Harry's totally the master of death because he had all 3 Deathly Hallows. Harry's the master of death for totally different reasons. He never possessed all 3 at the same time. And that's why I really like that Harry Potter theory points this out, because he dropped the stone in the forest before he ever got the Elder Wand. Like, yes, the Elder Wand was loyal to him, but he didn't possess it. So, like, technically he was worthy of all 3 objects at this time, but it wasn't the fact that he possessed all 3 that made him the master of death. It just wasn't. It was because he was worthy of all of them, and that is what we're going to get into. By the by, I was just checking a quote on the Wizarding World website, and under the Elder Wand owners/makers, it says Death Maker. So that leads me back down the little rabbit trail of it wasn't the 3 brothers, it was somebody else that made them and was the master of death and possessed all 3 Hallows and made all 3 Hallows and was the original master of death. And then the brothers somehow took them from him. That's what I'm going with. For anybody who wants to see the behind the scenes, this is like me like hunting down this fact that I have this like memory floating around in my head of this one quote, and I can't remember if I read it online or in a book. So I'm on a goose hunt. I'll be back in a second. Okay, now we're talking about the Elder Wand. We're going to follow it through time and what makes it so important. It is the Thestral Tailhair, and the fact that it's made of very rare and very, very, very strong wood. It's 15 inches, and just everything about it. The Thestral Tailhair, I think, just like really tops it off, because it has to be somebody that has processed death, that can see a Thestral. So it makes sense that only somebody that can accept death can wield this wand. And this is something that I will dig into after I get into my theory. I need to just explain everything first and not get ahead of myself. But okay, Elder Wand through time. As we go through this story, it starts with the eldest brother of the 3. It is Antioch, Antioch, Antioch. He has it, kills a rival wizard like immediately. It brags, gets killed in his sleep and stolen from him. We don't know who steals it from him. It kind of just gets lost in time for a little bit. But the next person that we do know about it is Emmerich the Evil, and he just like terrorizes the south of England with this wand and just does whatever he wants. And that's kind of how it happens until he meets Emmerich the Egregious, who defeats him in a duel. We don't know if he kills him. Assumably he does, because at this, we just like kind of see like everybody kills the previous owner because they think that that is what gets it. Oh, it's a pretty cardinal outside. Again, the wand gets lost in time for a little bit, but the next owner is a little bit more interesting. Godalot, Godelot, God, I don't know. So he saw this wand as a teacher. He learned from it. He would listen to it, work on it. Like, he just wanted to learn from this wand, and he wrote a book. What was that book called? Magic Most Evil. He wrote Magic Most Evil, and it was based on everything he learned about this wand, and it actually was one of the very, 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 very few books that talked about Horcruxes. So he learned about Horcruxes from this wand. Is it possible that this wand was once owned by Herpo the Foul? Sorry, don't mind me. Is it possible that this wand was once owned by Herpo the Foul and used to make Horcruxes? Because this man learned about Horcruxes from this wand. And I just found out about this doing my research for this video, and now I'm reevaluating my Horcrux theory and adding to it. I still stand on the basilisk. I stand on that hard. I will never move. I absolutely believe it. Everybody's like, Herpo the Foul made basilisk, and I'm like, I mean, maybe he did, but maybe he did, but maybe just a creature just exists and he is the one, I don't know, whatever. Just because the first one person to known to have it doesn't mean that they created it. I didn't see anything that said he created it. I just saw that he had one, but maybe it did say it. I just didn't read it correctly. I'll look at that again. Maybe I just need to look that up. I'm on a tangent. But like, seriously, he learned about Horcruxes from this wand. Like, how would the wand know about Horcruxes? Or just like, did the wand know about everything? I don't know. I'm going to get into Horcruxes later on and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, this man was actually locked in the cellar by his own son. What's his son's name? Henward. Heneward. Henward was his son, and he locked him in a cellar and literally just left him there to die. He just like slowly wasted away and died, and so his son stole the wand, and after that just got lost in time a little bit again. The next guy's name is Barnabas Deverell, and that just like gives me such Cruella de Vil vibes, where it's like cruel devil, but you just like made it sound like that's just Barnabas the devil. Deverell, whatever. So he was the early 18th century. Yeah, 18th century, and he just like, the only thing is that he really just made himself a really nasty reputation until somebody came along and axed him and then took the wand. Luxius was the one that killed Barnabas and then was the next possessor. He was the one that gave it the name Death Stick, which, I don't know, I feel like that's pretty cheap or whatever. But anyway, he just really enjoyed his little death stick and once again just wielded it left and right and terrorized everybody. At this point in the story, it's close enough to like the main storyline that Dumbledore and Xenophilius Lovegood like had actual theories about who got it after Luxius was his name. Dumbledore was pretty much like admitted, he's like, I have absolutely no idea. Like, it just got lost in time, and then somehow, not Ollivander. Yeah. Grigorovich. I always try to remember, but I write down all the names in case I don't, and I do my best, and it's like a brain exercise, and this is why I don't want to do this on a Sunday. I'm sorry. I love you guys. Grigorovich. So Dumbledore was like, it's lost in time. Somehow Grigorovich got it, and then he just tried to replicate it. Xenophilius Lovegood said that there were two guys, either Arcus or Livius. Arcus or Livius, that were the ones that possessed it afterwards. And maybe I'll just do like a totally separate video about all of these people and like really dig into their stories, what they did, all the information on them. Like, I'm really just trying to get through the progression of the Elder Wand right now for you guys. So maybe I'll do another one where I like actually dig into who all these people are and what they actually did. TBD. Anyway, Grigorovich was the next actually known owner of the wand, and he somehow came upon it and he just tried to study it. Like, he just wanted to replicate it. And because he thought it was so cool, he himself, like all the others, were tempted to boast and brag and be like, I have the Elder Wand, I'm trying to replicate it, I'm gonna have 2 Elder Wands by next Tuesday. Like, 2 Elder Wand Tuesday kind of thing. Like, he couldn't help himself. Nobody can help themselves when it comes to this wand. Like, it's even described as being unlucky. But I also feel like we hear about so many different kinds of cool wands and how they almost have like a sentient power to them. Like, they have like some sort of like self-control to some level. So what if this wand just calls death to any owner it doesn't like? Like, what if he's like, What if the wand is like, this owner is not worthy of me, or it just wants death, wants death, wants death, wants death, wants death, and it just consumes, and it just still calls death to the owner because it just wants death so much. So it makes the owner want death, but it also wants it. Maybe, I don't know. I think the one's sentient. I think this one is like kind of freaky evil. But Grigorovich is trying to replicate it. He can't. Word gets around. Grindelwald hears about it after Grindelwald and Dumbledore had their whole hoopla and Ariana unfortunately died. Then Grindelwald dipped, and at some point in time, he then went after Grigorovich. We have no idea when. It was just sometime between Ariana's death and like 1926, like the start of Fantastic Beasts or something like that. At some point in there. I think he was pretty young. I'll be doing Grindelwald fun facts on my TikTok actually. But my point earlier that I wanted to make was I think Grindelwald was the first one to not kill for the wand. He stunned Grigorovich and left with the wand. I think Grindelwald was the first person to not kill someone for it. If I'm correct and I'm thinking about all of this, everybody has killed everyone, and that is assuming that Egbert the egregious killed Emmerich the evil. But I think Grindelwald was the first one to not do it, which to me like begs the question of like Grindelwald versus Dumbledore, who was the worst villain. That just needs to be something entirely different. But like Voldemort just like killed needlessly, and Grindelwald I don't think did that. They were just too different. We'll get into that later. I'm sorry, I'm on another tangent. Next, we're going to talk about the Resurrection Stone. So this stone was given to Cadmus Peverell, which was the second brother. He missed his lost love. It didn't work. He slew slided, and he took a slippy slide down. He took a slippy slide. Anyway. Then the ring just gets kind of passed through family history after him. Or not the ring, it becomes a ring later. The stone gets passed through family history, and then at some point the Slytherin line turns into, or it survives through the Gaunt line. The Gaunt line marries into the Peverell line, and in that union, a ring is made with the stone. Assumably, these families all knew about it. Time gets lost. Ilvermorny is made. I don't know what else, I forgot what else happened in this time period, but by the time it gets to Marvolo, Morphin, and Merope, however you want to pronounce their names, they have absolutely no idea that this is the stone. They just think it's a family ring. They think that it makes them, it connects them to the Slytherin line. To them, it has the Slytherin signet on it. It connects them to that line. It's just this huge status thing. They have no idea the stone is in there. So by the time Voldemort takes it, he has no idea it's in there either, but Dumbledore even tells us himself, he's like, even if Voldemort knew it was there, he really wouldn't have cared about it. He was like, excuse me again, Voldemort feared the dead. Like, he didn't love anybody. There's nobody he would have brought back. So what would he care about the Resurrection Stone, especially since he wasn't going about immortality as mastering death. He was going about it as Hallows, which again, King's Crossing in Deathly Hallows, Harry sits there and he's like, yeah, Horcrux is not Hallows. Like, you guys were, two sides of the same coin, but Horcrux is not Hallows, But Dumbledore also admits to using it. So even though he possessed this Hallow as well, he never really handled them correctly, even though he matured and grew with age. And I do think that Dumbledore died a good person. That doesn't mean he didn't have his trials or tribulations or anything like that. He got this stone and he tried to use it and he got cursed. Harry used it, but for a good reason. He used it to he used it to be able to go through with his sacrifice. He wouldn't have been able to follow through with his sacrifice without it. Like, he used it genuinely and honestly, not out of greed or anything like that like everybody else did. Okay, next is the invisibility cloak. Again, I'm going to do a TikTok where I dig into like all the different invisibility cloaks that there are, but there's a couple. They seem to kind of be like a 20th century invention, whereas the original one is from like the 13th century. So this is the original cloak has transcended time, and everything else was made recently. Demiguise are a cutie little creature that is plaguing my existence on Hogwarts Legacy. I can't find the last moons. And listen, I know there's a million YouTube videos. I could totally find them on the YouTube videos. I know. But I like to find it on my own. I don't like to do that. I like to drive myself crazy and then have the immense satisfaction that sometimes I will literally go on Hogwarts Legacy and spend like an hour or two just looking for Demiguise moons. Like, that's what I want to do. It's my Sunday. I want to go hunt for Demiguise moons and ride my Thestral. Anyway, Demiguise hair could be woven into an invisibility cloak, which is probably a little bit better than a regular cloak, having like a disillusionment charm. Or there was like a, what was it called? A bedazzling hex, and that just like makes me think like such Twilight vibes. But all of these would wear off, they were imperfect, you would, get too close, like even in Hogwarts Legacy, like the one that you get in the very beginning to do that library quest, if you get too close, you're seen. Well, actually, you're using a disillusionment charm. Whatever, it's besides the point. The disillusionment charm only works so well, so it would only work so well on a cloak. But Harry's invisibility cloak was described as, I wrote it down, had a uniquely durable nature by Dumbledore and perfect by Ron. So it just was completely different. Like, it was never tangibly described. It just always had these kinds of descriptions. Like, it's just perfect. It's uniquely durable. Like, it's not going to wear off. It stands the test of time, and you are truly like nose to nose invisible. This was given to the youngest Peverell brother, Ignatius Peverell. I-G-N-O or an A? I can't. Oh, my handwriting is god awful. I-G-N-O-T-U-S, Peverell. Also, I'm like, don't even care this time that you totally see me looking at my notes now that I've like told you about my notes and everything. I need these to like keep myself on track with stories like this, and it's actually kind of hard to pretend that like I'm not like losing my train of thought every time. Like, once I start talking, I can't keep up with where I am. You're cleaning your toe. I get so distracted by my cat. Okay, now we are at the point where I'm going into my actual theories and what this means. So, what I originally wrote down was Harry possessing this Hallow represents he starts off as better. Oh, okay. This is where I start off. This is the first point I want to make. So, it is the Hallows represent Harry, Voldemort, and Dumbledore. Dumbledore has the Elder Wand. He is the oldest of all of them. He seeks it for power. However, by the time Dumbledore gets it, he understands the weight that it carries. He understands what this wand can do. He has seen Grindelwald wield it. And if it wasn't for Grindelwald, God only knows what the wand would have corrupted Dumbledore's mind into if he had gotten it at that age. Like, it corrupts its owner. It just does. And it just calls, it's a whole thing. I think it's a sentient being. I really honestly do. I think it is a sentient evil, and I think it is a good thing that Harry chucked that shit into the abyss. Honestly, I do. But Voldemort represents the Resurrection Stone, but he is set to fail because he can't love. The literal meaning of the Resurrection Stone, he is incapable of. So I think it's fascinating that he dies of that. So like, even when I see things that are like, Snape was the one who lost love, like he's the one that represents it, like, no, he never sought them. He didn't have anything to do with the Deathly Hallows storyline. It's Dumbledore, or not, it's not Dumbledore. I always mix up Voldemort and Dumbledore's name with my dyslexia, and I don't understand why. Also, fun fact, my brain calls laundry trash. So like, I'm like, oh, this needs to go in the trash. And it's just like dirty socks because I went running. Anyway, like when I tell you that my brain is just so weird, like I will say trash instead of laundry. And I literally have been doing it for years and I can't stop. Okay, now that I'm off my tangent, Dumbledore's the Elder Wand, Voldemort's the Resurrection Stone, Harry's the Invisibility Cloak. Harry is already better than them because he is the youngest brother. That youngest brother doesn't have the same ambitions that the first two do. That is why it is such a good representation, because he doesn't have those same ambitions. He just literally uses the invisibility cloak throughout all 7 books to hide and conceal himself and protect himself from death. He's just trying to survive, but not to evade death, not to humiliate death, not to have more power than death, but, excuse me again, oh my gosh, it's 3. Not to do any of those things, but to simply survive, to live, to have a happy life, to be around your loved ones, to love your loved ones, like he uses it for the right reason. So I think that it's those 3 that represent the Deathly Hallows, obviously. The Tale of the Beetle and the Bard should honestly give away the ending if you really pay attention. It is the part for me where the third brother sheds his cloak and greets death like an old friend. Harry walks into the forest. He uses the resurrection stone, which represents the acceptance of mortality. He accepts mortality. He accepts death. He uses the stone to get himself through this sacrifice. He sacrifices himself. There's a hair on my mouth. Sacrifices himself, and he comes back. In the books, as the battle for Hogwarts is going on, it is Voldemort's out dueling somebody, I don't even remember who, but it is Bellatrix versus Molly, and Bellatrix goes down. Voldemort screams and turns his attention to Molly. I'm sorry, Laurel, I'm crying already. It is Harry shedding the cloak, ready to greet death like an old friend, is why he becomes the true master of death. This moment is why Harry becomes the true master of death, in my personal opinion, because it is the Tale of Beetle and the Bards played out. He greets death like an old friend. He has already met death. Twice, actually. But he has already met death and accepts it willingly. And only, this was the quote that I was hunting for earlier, but like I couldn't even really find exactly like what I had read, so we're just gonna go off this thought that's rolling around in my head, because maybe I came up with it myself because I can't find the words. You know, when you like think about something and then you finally read it and it just like clicks in your brain. I haven't had that click moment yet. So I'm still digging, but it's essentially that only someone that can face death with true acceptance of it, that can wield the Elder Wand. Only somebody that can face death can wield it. That's the quote I'm trying to find, is that only somebody that can truly face death and not fear it can wield the wand. But that's essentially why it's incredibly symbolic that the wand in the movies tosses itself over to Harry. To me, that is very symbolic. And that kind of just ties it in that Harry is not just the owner of the wand, but its true master. I touched on this a hair, but I'm going to loop back to it, because I'm going through what each one represents. But that was kind of that was like the theory on like why Harry is the true, that was like a nail that I picked off. Why Harry is the true master of death. This one is what the stone represents, which, like I said, is the acceptance of mortality and loss and dying and loved ones and losing loved ones. So that button. By Harry using this stone, he's accepting that there is nothing that you can change or stop or do about death. He is looking at the people that he loves most in his life. He is accepting that they are gone, and he is accepting that he is coming to join them ever so willingly. Voldemort is the representation of this stone when I'm talking about the three people, because he cannot accept mortality. He spends the entire series running from mortality with these Horcruxes. Not only is he incapable of love, so he doesn't even use the stone, he doesn't care about the stone because there's literally no one he loves, and Dumbledore even says that he believes that Voldemort feared death, but he also feared death because he himself did not want to die. He feared the dead, but he also feared death himself. The Horcruxes were literally the opposite of the Hallows. So maybe that's why the wand knew about it. But like I was saying, Voldemort spends his entire life running from his fate and running from his mortality, and that is why he cannot master death. He can't master death. Next is the Elder Wand, which represents power, represents man's need for power. And essentially, in my opinion, Dumbledore was only able to tame the wand because he wanted to protect the world from it at that point. If he had gained it in the same light as Grindelwald, he would have wielded it. Probably not like Grindelwald, because he said that he just
wanted to fix things, and Grindelwald, that was the Resurrection Stone. He just wanted to apologize to his parents. Grindelwald wanted an inferior army with the Resurrection Stone, but I'm talking about the Elder Wand. Focus, Carrington, please. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. That was cringy. Dumbledore was able to tame it because he sought to protect the world from it. Harry was its true even though he was master of it and he was able to wield this wand, Harry was the true master because he faced death willingly. He accepted death. He was ready to die, you know? Okay, that's kind of the end of my notes. This feels like a very abrupt ending. I'm not really sure how to tie this all together without repeating myself at this point. But yeah, those are my theories. And really the biggest one is that Harry sheds his cloak and greets death like an old friend in the books. And I fucking hate that they don't do that in the movies because it's so important. But whatever. I'm just such a stickler for symbolism. I love symbolism. I love foreshadowing. I love it so much because like I said, my greatest kick in life is rewatching something and being like, you don't know what's going to happen to you, but I do. And then getting to see all of I just love the foreshadowing. And that's why I love Prisoner of Azkaban so much. Okay, I'm going to go play my video games. I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday and a wonderful week. Also, I'm not going to do Wednesday episodes anymore, and I'm really sorry. I was doing that because I was trying to beef up my page. I was trying to get a bunch of stuff on here. If I'm capable of it, I will always put out an extra video if I can as a nice treat, surprise, I love you, gift for everyone, because I just want to do as much as I can for you guys because you're so wonderful to me that this is the only way that I feel like making content is how I feel like I'm giving back to you and thanking you for supporting me. Is I'm okay, I just need to make more content, get through my request list. I can't. But I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate you, how much I appreciate this opportunity to talk, to have this page, to have this channel, that you even listen to me. I love all of you genuinely, individually, and deeply. But I'm not going to do Wednesday episodes anymore. My work schedule is really a little busy. I am managing 7-8 social media accounts right now, on top of, that's including my own, but I have my TikTok and my YouTube and then 6 other accounts on top of that. So until I can get a camera and a better computer, the technological fighting is just way too exhausting, and I just can't have my computer trying to download a YouTube when I'm trying to work on a work day. That was just way too much, and I really feel like this thing's just gonna combust into flames one day, and I would hate for that to happen and for me to be totally put out and then not able to make you guys content or anybody else content. So we're gonna do 1 episode a week, and it's still gonna be Sundays. So like and subscribe. I post on Sundays. I hang out on TikTok all week, and I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye.